Hello everyone, it's Jin'taan here, and welcome back to my coverage on the Winter War. Today I'm going to be looking, much like my previous update, Tug of War, at the narrative flow of the war, rather than focusing on a minute little engagement and the implications of it and the reasons for it. And that's just because of how the war is currently developing. We're entering a lull as people start to move around and set the stage for the next front. And that's what we're going to be basically looking into today. We're going to be looking into what's happened, where are things going, and why do I think this war isn't over quite yet. I do plan on doing a complete wrap-up of Catch at some point in the near future, once all of the sov's taken and once it starts getting distributed out to the winning members. And that will be called a post-mortem of Catch. This is something that a lot of alliances do internally, so I'm going to be very excited to see what you guys think about that, as it might, teach people a couple of lessons about what mechanics were underexploited, and, in general, what could both sides have achieved better and what both sides did well within the area. So, with Catch in mind, let's take a look at that ever-present region of conflict and see just what's happened over the past week. So, as always, let's take a look at where we left Catch last time, about 8 days ago, just after both Steinwagen and the Imperium moved their stagings deeper into Steinwagen territory and away from the region itself. And here it is as it stands on the 22nd of January. As one can see, this lack of a credible opposition force within Catch led to a huge surge in territorial gains from the Steinfragen coalition. And these victories weren't just limited to that of conquering space. We've seen a huge culling of fortizars within Catch by the attacking forces, most notably taking out the VTAC 3 fortizar from which Steinwagen had been staging from, ever since the attacking coalition was able to take the VTAC 3 station itself. And whilst unfortunately there is no way to verify the exact amounts lost, and thereby determine the efficacy of Steinwagen's retreat to their ancestral homeland, I can imagine hundreds of billions of assets just got sent to asset recovery, awaiting when, or perhaps if, Steinwagen will be able to place a fortizar in this system again to recover lost assets. Though they do of course have the option of simply bringing those assets to the nearest low-sec system through the asset safety mechanic. Specifically, this would send their assets to Vespera, which houses the infamous Wrecking Crew, a PL-aligned and supercapital-based area denial force, which specializes in the hunting of enemy supercapitals. However, I doubt they would be above killing any hastily evac'd ratting carriers. And whilst the struggle does continue, most notably in places such as the Northern Catch salient, where the Volition cult was able to use their high ADMs within the pocket to mount a significant amount of resistance to a non-concentrated attacking force, even at the time of recording, this doesn't seem like it will continue to hold out for very long, especially given the fact that the Volition cult have recently moved their allegiances to the Quirius Fight Club, and as such are moving out of the war zone itself. Which is unsurprising given the fact that they have now lost the majority of their holdings within Catch, leaving them with no strong political ties to the Steinwagen organization. Although from what I understand, they do intend to continue participating in the defense of Catch for as long as it may last. And speaking of leaving the war zone, we saw another participant up sticks and leave from Catch this week. However, this time it was not from the losing side, but from the winning side, with Lumpy, the providers of the infamous Plan B Fortizar, which gave Steinfragen their first window of opportunity to expand a capital umbrella into the region of Catch, transferred their remaining sovereign Catch to the Tactical Voltage Coalition, another fellow independent Catch entity, as they have fully deployed themselves to Venal up in the north, taking some of the fallow land that was once held by the Tenal Control Unit coalition, of which Drone Walkers was a key member of, before coming to join the war in Catch. At the current time, I'm unsure if this will mark a full departure of Lumpy from the theatre of operations, or if they will be leaving behind a rear guard to provide themselves with more content in the future. I will endeavour to update you on this whenever I can find an answer. So, with the conquest of Catch all over but the shouting, let's take a look at the neighbouring region of Impasse to see how this has spilt over into it. As one can see, Impasse has pretty quickly fallen alongside Catch due to the extreme distance between it and Stainwagen and the Imperium's new staging systems, leaving it almost completely undefendable for them, whereas it was in a prime position for the newly restaged attacking forces to muscle their way into the region and begin to take key areas of space, with massive gains being made by the Circle of Two alliance specifically. And whilst the external pockets may hold out due to both high ADMs from being a consistent place to wrap, and their lack of tactical worth to the attacking coalition, the main strategic value that Impasse holds, its travel routes from Catch to Fetherbolis, are now comfortably in Stainfragin hands, leaving said route completely open for further annexation of the defending forces' territories. With these two critical regions having fallen, let's take a look back at the map of the regions themselves to get an idea of what the future may hold for us in the war. I will start, however, with doing something that I hope I do not have the misfortune of doing often, and acknowledging a mistake I'd made previously when generating these maps, as I had erroneously counted Omist as part of the Stainwagen territories, which was not in fact the case. Whilst the exact allegiances of the alliance which does hold Omist, Kids with Guns, is disputed, and I have not been able to contact their leadership for a direct answer, they do seem to at the very least be okay with Drone Region Federation operating via their space. However, I am not going to mark them as part of the Drone Region Federation, as I do not wish to mischaracterize their allegiances again. Nonetheless, with Stainwagen's retreat to their eponymous homelands, following the fall of Catch and subsequent loss of Impasse, the next target becomes relatively clear for the attacking forces, with all three major allies being able to concentrate their power into one outlying region, that of Fetherbolis. In terms of raw space, Stainwagen actually holds little of Fetherbolis, as a result of their own territorial losses following the DRF and Vanguard-led invasion of their space that happened earlier last year, which means that a vast amount of the space here will not be fought for, as both of said victors and therefore holders of these spoils are on the attacking side. Still, the travelling routes are almost entirely held by Stainwagen here, with Fetherbolis serving as effectively the gateway to Esoteria, another region similar to Catch in that it borders Stain, and as such I would expect any fighting within Fetherbolis that was deadly serious to concentrate around these two entrances, as doing so would put the attacking forces in a similar position to that which they found during their initial assault on F4R2, wherein a bloody single-point conflict would need to be fought in order to secure a beachhead from which a capital umbrella can be unfolded. However, given Fetherbolis' distance from Imperium-held space, it seems unlikely that they will be able to hold off an assault here, and are likely to instead continue to run harassing ops in this area with the intent of attempting to burn out both pilots and FCs on the attacking forces' side. So, assuming that Fetherbolis does fall, and without any further political manoeuvring on either side, what we will see is effectively the creation of a new front, based around Esoteria, which will be similar to the one faced by the attacking forces in Catch. One geographically critical region, which shares a subcap and capital border with Stain, and is relatively geographically close to Imperium-held space, offering StainSwarm a chance to learn the strategic lessons that Catch may have taught them, and implement them against the attacking forces, if both pilot morale and political will are sufficient to let it be so. And given that Stainwagen have been seen moving towards HHQ, a system in close proximity to Stain within Esoteria, it seems like some of the first pieces are being pushed into play here. And whilst I am not a renowned seer and cannot predict the future, I do expect to see a few last gasps at the very least take place in Esoteria, as Stainwagen attempts to wrest at least some form of morale back from the invading forces, to prevent a full-on fail cascade, which is always a possibility when one is kicked out of their space in such manner. And maybe, perhaps just maybe, The Winter War will live up to its name and become a deep, bitter conflict trapped in the south of New Eden. But that is all idle speculation for now, I suppose. But still, thank you for watching. I hope this has helped to elucidate on both the current state of the Winter War and what might just lie ahead in the future. Unfortunately, however, I won't be able to do another one of these next week, as I will be attending the CSM Summit with the majority of CSM 11. For those of you who are unaware of the CSM, it's effectively a player-led body which is democratically elected to advise CCP on numerous issues and bring player concerns to them. It's something I take my responsibilities within relatively seriously, so I will be focusing on helping to provide CCP with all the information I have gathered in my time preparing for the summit and discussing with them the potential impacts of future changes. As such, I will not have time to gather intelligence nor draft out another one of these videos. I may also look into doing some form of CSM content after the summit in video format. If that's something you'd like to see, please let me know. But in the meantime, I hope that you will excuse my absence. And until the next video, take care and fly smart.